I'll take you for a ride on the devil's ship. I'll take you for a ride where you sink or swim. Now come with me and let this story begin.
Ted Bird in studio, host of the morning show, host on Light 105. Is it 104? It's 104, right?
I don't know. It's up there somewhere.
Light FM.
1067.
109. Also, a legend of Canadian broadcasting.
I don't know about that.
You are, whether you like it or not.
I'll take legend of Montreal broadcasting.
Well, here's what I will say.
If I'm a legend, it's only because I've managed to survive in the industry for 45 years, an industry where most people are in and out within 5 years.
I will tell you my professional assessment. Had you not told everyone around you to go fuck themselves, you would have had this city eating out of the palm of your hand. But you are cut from my cloth.
Yeah,
so
well,
we burn all the bridges we don't like.
Yeah, two flamethrowers, one in each hand.
Yeah, we're bad at business. What do you want, Poseidon?
Then may the bridges you burn light the way.
Yeah, there
They're
you
lighting
go.
someone's way.
Yeah.
But Standing By, very good podcast. People love it.
Yeah, we're having fun with that, and I was watching the latest episode today and saying to myself, hey, we're pretty good.
You are very good. Yeah,
It's not bad. It's a good podcast. Well, Terry and I have reached don't give a fuck territory, right? We don't give a fuck. We care about putting out a good product, but we don't care what people think anymore.
which is how you should be.
Yeah. This is who we are, and this is what we do. And we definitely have an audience. I don't know how much of the challenge for us and for guys our age and guys who've been around for as long as we have is to build a new and younger audience.
I have a plan for Standing By, but it involves first I need to successfully seduce Terry DeMonte into moving back to Montreal. And then what I would like is Standing By to be minimum a weekly show with monthly live events that we're going to be hosting.
To coin a phrase, stand by.
Yeah, there you go.
Stand by.
I have a long-term plan for Standing By because essentially what I wanted to do is I wanted to replace the actual radio need for you guys. Whoever liked him on show, whoever liked you, they can actually get you with modern topics. Kind of like how the morning show is topical.
Yep.
Standing By would be topical as well because it wouldn't be pre-recorded. At max, it would be pre-recorded a day or two.
Yeah.
But that's amazing.
I would love to do that. And again, the challenge for us is to be relevant and topical to a younger audience. And I was saying to someone the other day, working with Poseidon and George on the morning show, I was watching that the other day thinking to myself, Christ, I could be both of their fathers.
Yeah.
Like George is 20 years younger than me. Poseidon is 30 years younger than me. And yet we were relating and having fun and laughing. And I thought to myself, okay, we can, I know Terry can relate to a younger audience. Terry can relate to anybody. That's what made him such a successful broadcaster.
Well, I mean, look, as soon as you walk out of the studio, you're Poseidon's father. That's what happened to him. He feels it. That's my dad.
That's my boy.
No, but people like it. People are having fun. I think the younger audience comes with topical stuff. Mm-hmm. So if it would be just you two for most of the episodes and you'd be just shooting a shit on WhatsApp, like you would on the radio, except uncensored, and then we'd clip those and put those up, those are going to bring in the younger people because all they care about is what's happening now.
Yeah.
Whereas old men like myself care about stories.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think that there's probably a balance to be had somewhere where you can appeal to older and younger demographics. You can talk about topical things that are going on, and you can reminisce and you can storytell. You don't think that young people want to hear a good story? If it's
no, they do.
A good story well told, doesn't anybody enjoy a good story well told?
Yeah, but from what I learned in these classes that YouTube gives out, they give these little seminars.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the attention span of the youth is absolutely destroyed. So you need 30 seconds to a minute clips.
Right.
They get irritated and tired for something that's over a few minutes. They're a different breed. I'm not saying it's good. It's actually insane for productivity in the future.
Yeah.
That's why we have to move towards AI because these kids, they're not going to do any of the jobs. They're angry. I went to drop off my dog Saturday morning so she could get groomed. And then I went to get a cup of coffee because I was going to Gosselin. I wanted to get some microphones. And I went by Laval, the Tim Hortons drive-thru. The kid, he was like a teenager, serving me, already from the speaker, was angry. He was just mad that he was there.
Really?
Yeah, it was essentially, it was in French, but it was like, what do you want? I was like, a coffee. Okay, is that it? Is that like he was very angry, but not at me. Had nothing to do with me. He was just mad at life, at being there, which I get. I used to do that
he shouldn't
job.
be there.
There you go.
He shouldn't be there.
What are you gonna do?
Surely to God, there must be somebody else who'd be happy to do that job, or if not happy, at least not miserable.
Well, you know who it's gonna be. It's gonna be the robots.
Now, you had just said that's why we got to move to AI. Is that what you're talking about? AI in service
And everything. It's not that I want it to happen. From everything I read and everything I knew from when I used to work in virtual reality and augmented reality, that's the push. That's where we're going, whether we like it or not, because it's easier to control at a mass scale. So if everything's automated and you just have the controllers on top, it's way easier to make changes.
What's everybody else going to do then? The controllers got something to do. What are the rest of us going to do?
You want to hear? You want me to put it nicely? Or you're gonna shut the fuck up. You're gonna consume as little as you can. You're gonna get your nice little monthly wage from the government so you can live, and then you better think of something
It's
outside
a
the
science
box.
fiction movie.
Yeah.
It's a 1970s science fiction movie come to life.
But people, they test it out. People are already willing to give up their freedoms and their privacy for security. The second we did that, we opened the door. We told them what we're willing to take, how much we're willing to take, how much the majority are willing to take, and it's a lot. So they're going to push it.
Benjamin Franklin said something about that, about giving up freedom for security, and I can't remember what it was. I was very young.
Said anyone who gives up freedom for security doesn't deserve either.
Yeah. So yes. Yeah, I don't know. That might be paraphrasing it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I say, I was very young when he said it, so it's
you were
it's
very-
difficult for me to remember.
Yeah, Poseidon, I'm pretty sure it's roughly that.
Goddamn Yahoo.
Yeah, if you give up your freedom for security, you don't deserve either one, I think.
Yeah, you deserve neither.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of fucking scary.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Like, I'm not going to be around, but that's not a world I want for my kids.
I don't like it either, but the more I see, the more I realize that people are idiots. They love being just part of the group. So everything that we know now that was false 2 years ago, that they were even suppressing on the internet, you couldn't talk about, that now it's just, that it's the truth. People who are spewing misinformation don't apologize. They pretend like it never happened. We pretend that those 2 years never happened. We just don't want to talk about the fuck-ups.
About the pandemic?
About the pandemic and
Yeah.
everything we fucked up on, all the stuff that we knew, the Fauci shit, the lab. Remember, it didn't come from a lab. That's a conspiracy theory. Not only do we know where it came from, we know who was funding the lab. We know that it was illegal. We know all this stuff now.
Yeah.
No one's paying for it. It's very weird. This weird.
Well, you know whose fault that is, that there's no consequences. That's the media. That's the media's job. It's the media's job to say, listen, here's what really happened. Here's who fucked up and here's how they fucked up. That's the media's job. And the media used to do that. The media used to be the watchdog on behalf of the people. Now the media are the gatekeepers on behalf of the people who are in charge. They're running interference.
which is disgusting.
Yeah, and I know I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but
no,
I don't think I'm wrong, and I'm certainly not the only one who says that. A lot of veteran, polished, professional investigative journalists of my age and my generation feel that way. They look at journalism today and they say, "Holy fuck, man, they've lost their way." Like,
You want to lose your mind right now? Hunter Biden. So remember the laptop?
yeah,
Okay, so they were trying to tell people the laptop thing is a hoax because they really wanted Joe Biden to win the election. Okay, so they were not just running interference; they were spreading disinformation, saying all this is fake. The photos are doctored. It's not really him. And the photos that we're talking about is him with prostitutes with a gun to these sex traffic victims, a gun to their head, just doing cocaine, pulling out millions of dollars in the Ukraine, in China, just debaucherous stuff, threatening Chinese officials, being like, you know who my dad is, you know who he's going to become, all that stuff. As soon as Biden wins, then people start retracting because, like, okay, they're going to find out it was real. Now it comes out, not only was it real, the laptop, all the whole story was real, it wasn't a hoax, even though all these newspapers, New York Times, they all lied as if it was a hoax. Now it comes out that he did even worse things, and they're trying to get him on tax evasion. That's how they get a lot of people. It's tax fraud, tax evasion.
Yeah.
He might go to jail for 14 or 17 years. And now the narrative with these journalists is they wouldn't be doing this if his name wasn't Biden, as if he's getting a harder sentence because he's a Biden. If he wasn't a Biden, he wouldn't have made it this far.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have made it this far. Dude, smoking crack, spending millions of dollars on crack and whores and all. There's no one, if they're not a Biden, that would make it this far. It's crazy how they're spinning it. It's the opposite. It's the fact that he's a Biden is the fact that he's still around. It's nuts.
Yeah, and the 2024 election cycle in the United States is going to be awfully, awfully interesting. I think it's going to make 2020 look like a fucking kids party.
I heard a rumor
Oh boy.
that Trump is trying or thinking. He was asked by his wife to tap Tucker Carlson for VP.
I listened to Tucker Carlson on Megyn Kelly on the way here today.
What do you say?
I was only sort of half listening, but he did not sound committed. It doesn't sound like he doesn't need.
It's not for him.
He doesn't need or want the headaches. No. I think he just likes to sit on the sidelines and comment. I like him. I think that I always find his commentary to be very well thought out and fair.
I like Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
I think he's funny.
I think he's funny. I think he's smart, and I think he's above all else. I think he's fair. And, people who say, he's a right wing, he's a far right Nazi.
Yeah, everyone's a far right Nazi.
Yeah, well, yeah. Like, on what grounds do you say that about Tucker Carlson? To me, he's just a smart guy who has conservative leanings and makes a lot of sense.
No, none of it. I think now if you call someone a right wing Nazi, you sound insane because we kind of know.
I hope so. I hope the pendulum has swung back to that point. Yeah, because it's just like, calling someone a racist now. You're a racist. Here's another thing from the pandemic when Trudeau called the truckers.
Right, all the Sikhs.
They're racists.
All these
and
Indian Pakistanis that are getting our goods delivered from one side of the country to the other. These white supremacist brown people. Yeah. It's so stupid.
Yeah. Like, and on what grounds? And you see, that's something where the media should have called him out, and they didn't.
Everything, but the freezing the bank accounts, all the fact that most of society stood by when that happened. That is so. The fact that you allowed it to happen, even if you hated them. So let's say there's people right now that I don't like their political stance, or I cannot allow the government, because I don't like them, to freeze their bank accounts, jail them without cause. I can't allow that to happen because that's crazy. That's insane. We're not living in a free country, and we let it happen because so many people were upset at the honking. It's disgusting. That's when I think Canada became an embarrassment, and they're still talking about it now. I see other leaders from other countries still making fun of Trudeau in Canada about that. No one could take us seriously anymore. And you have to admit, you have to call a spade a spade. The truth is, they're right, because we didn't do what we should have done. Most people just went along with it. I was talking about it on the podcast with him, but we were just being called anything you want. Conspiracy theorists, right-wingers, Nazis, whatever, because I said we shouldn't freeze people's bank accounts for protesting, which in a democratic country we're allowed to do.
And this was as it was happening that you guys were,
I was going crazy.
Yeah, if you did that now, people would not, they know better now.
Now they know better, but at the time, they
keep your fucking head down now. Yeah, not you, them.
But at the time, it's like, no, they're Nazis. And I remember them saying that they're Nazis while they were panning to these, and a lot of them for Park X, these Sikhs with their turbans, and they were calling them white supremacists. And I was like, does the news not see that this is a parody? You can't call a guy with a turban a white supremacist. Call him a brown supremacist or a white enthusiast, but don't, this is crazy.
That goes back to
be fair.
That goes back to a compliant media. Sorry, Poseidon.
It's okay. To be fair, the Nazi symbol did come from India.
All right, conspiracy confirmed.
I'm sorry.
What were you going to say about the media?
I have no idea. They're compliant. They're compliant. Yeah, it goes back to the compliant media. The one that really bowled me over was when they brought in the mounted police and they trampled the old lady with the walker, the old native lady with the walker. They fucking ran her right over. It's neither here nor there necessarily that she was native, but I just thought that was an added exclamation point. Now we're okay with trampling old native ladies with walkers because they're protesting against vaccine mandates.
And that's another thing. No, another lie at the time. They said they were protesting vaccines, which is not the case. They're protesting a mandate.
Yeah.
So if you want to be a vegan, this is the only way I could give a good example. Is if you want to be a vegan. It's one thing to say you're not going to eat meat. That is perfectly fine. No one's going to stop you. The second you start saying no one is allowed to eat meat, that's when it gets weird. And that's what they were doing. They said a mandate. They said just don't force people.
Yeah.
And we made, not myself, but most of the media made them seem like they were lunatics. What? You don't want us to force experimental shit on your kids? What are you, a Nazi? It was crazy. It's crazy. And then now that another thing I found out last week, fucking Poseidon, you want to get pissed off? You know that a huge chunk of Parliament lied? They never got vaccinated. And the reason why they never got vaccinated, they said it was for religious reasons. But we were told that religious reasons, it was not a reason to exempt us. But if you were in the Parliament, it was.
No way.
Yeah, dude, people are stupid.
What was the religion? Or was it varied?
Yeah, it was very
Satanism.
No, it was religious purposes. You don't get it. So anybody, you could have said anything. You could have said, I'm Christian. I don't believe in this. Like, I'm Hindu. I don't believe. You could have said whatever. You go, my religion. They can't stop you. But anyways, it was disgusting what happened in this goddamn country.
So parliamentarians were allowed to do that, but nobody else was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's horse shit.
Yeah, well, welcome to Canada.
Yeah, well, it's a wiggly world. I remember when Ukraine first started.
Yeah.
I took someone had posted a map of Europe. That I think the borders were marked, but the countries were not named, and so I put it up on Twitter and I said, "Find Ukraine." People went fucking ballistic.
They couldn't find it. Was huge.
No,
Ukraine is huge.
They went ballistic, like they were angry at me. What are you saying? What are you saying? And
that's right. Ted, do you know that I don't know? Are you trying to say that you know that I don't know? Is that what?
Yeah, what I'm saying is you can't find it on a fucking map, so shut the fuck up. That's what I'm saying. And people really got offended by that. And I think it was a case of, I hit a little too close to home there.
I don't appreciate you calling me out on my bullshit.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's exactly what it is.
But I remember that was a time when we found out that the Nazi battalions they had there, and I was like, okay, so now we're with the Nazis? Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
And like, we're not with the Nazis. We're just going to bring them to Parliament.
Yeah, give them a standing O.
Standing ovation.
Yeah.
We're not with the Nazis. It's such a weird time to be alive. But I saw the younger generation. You know what I'm talking about, Poseidon? They're kind of switching. They're getting more based. Like, they're looking into it, and they're like, this is some horseshit.
Yep.
Like, they're going against the grain.
I see it a lot on TikTok.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what happens is they go so against the grain.
Yeah, they're gonna go hardcore.
It's
They're
like
gonna
too much. Like they go when they go the racist route, they go super racist, or they'll go super sexist, or.
I believe that, yeah, because you pushed it so far left.
Yeah.
It's gonna come super far. We're gonna have a weird couple. Like, we're gonna have a weird 20 years.
And what's crazy is I'll notice these videos. They're not actually, if they go super racist, they're not actually racist. They just find it funny that people are mad.
Yeah, which is insane. I love it.
They're just like, look at you, you're mad, and then they're like, fuck you.
It's like what we were doing in the 80s, 90s, let's say, society, but like on crack, like crazy level.
Yeah. I've been seeing like N-words dropped like it's in broad daylight, like it's nothing, like it's crazy.
Broad daylight. Besides, you got to do it in the dark. They're not supposed to know where it came from. It's a drive-by.
My own kids generally, well, I guess it varies from one to the next. Like Sam, my son, my eldest son, he doesn't give a shit really. He's not invested in the culture wars at all. He wants to do what you guys do. He wants to be a creator, but what he wants to do is non-political. It's got, like, he wouldn't sit down and have this conversation. He'd be willing to sit down and have this conversation, but it's not.
No, it's not his goal. It's not what he's looking for.
Yeah, it's not his thing. I've got a daughter, my eldest, who lives in France, and I don't have the conversations with her because she's quite far left, and she's PhD candidate in art history.
Oh,
so she comes from academia. She's quite woke. So whenever I'm with her and Sam, if politics comes up, Sam goes, "No, Dad, no, don't do it, Dad."
But how woke is she?
Well, I don't know.
Like, if you discuss manpower, she's like, are you saying women don't have power like that much?
Well, 10 years ago, she was. She's probably mellowed she's 33 now. She's probably mellowed in the last. Young. Yeah, she's still young, but she's probably mellowed in the last 10 years. She's out of academia for one thing. She's married, and she's not in university anymore, and she's living in France, where there's a lot of. I get the feeling that in France there's a lot of unrest, right?
Oh, there's a shit ton of unrest.
People are not happy with Macron and that left-wing government.
No.
And I don't know where she stands because I don't. It's not that I don't dare. I couldn't be bothered having the conversation with her. I don't want the aggravation in case we.
You don't want to argue with your daughter.
Yeah. And then my second boy, he's kind of like me. He's like, get a haircut, get a real job. And my 15-year-old, I think all she wants to do is smoke reefer.
Oh, I didn't know you have a young daughter too.
Yeah, I got a daughter who's 15. She'll be 16.
And she's a hippie.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. She's a bit of a throwback.
Is she artistic?
She is. Yeah, she's very funny. When she was like 4 or 5 years old, she had an imaginary husband named Chief. And I thought to myself, this kid should be like an author or a movie maker. Like the stories that she would make up about Chief were unbelievable.
Either that or you got ghosts in the house.
Yeah, that could be as well. But now she's moved on from Chief now, and she wants to run a senior citizens home.
Oh,
She loves senior citizens.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah,
And
that's very cool.
In her spare time, she does I think it's a project she does through her school. Once or twice a week, she goes to a senior citizens home on the West Island, and she spends some time with this 90-year-old woman named Katya, I believe her name is. She's Hungarian. She speaks 4 or 5 languages. She's got 3 or 4 master's degrees. I believe she's 90 years old, and she's basically sitting in the old folks' home kind of waiting to die, which is sad, but I guess that's what it is for a lot of people when they get to that age. But Allie goes and visits her and spends time with her every week or 2 times a week. And my ex-wife was telling me that the woman's in the hallway waiting for Allie when she gets there.
Of course, people need human connection. You need someone to talk to.
Oh, for sure. And it's the nicest thing, and it makes me proud as a dad, obviously, that she has that empathetic streak in her, because she's otherwise, if I didn't know she had that, I just think that she's too cynical. Like she's a sarcastic 15-year-old girl, right?
Good.
But she's got this soft, empathetic streak in her for the elderlies, as she calls them. Her grandmother's in a senior citizens home as well, but her grandmother suffers from dementia.
She doesn't know what's going on.
Well, she's kind of in and out, She's, I think that gets progressively worse, and she still has some awareness. The last time I saw her was about, I don't know, a few months ago, and Allie said to her, "Do you know who this is?" And she said, "Of course, I know my own son-in-law." So, I mean, I think she thinks that her daughter and I are still married, which we're not, but anyway.
She's older, doesn't believe in divorce.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. She recognized me. Yeah, it's sad to see, though, man. It's the years are unforgiving, eh? They're just unforgiving. This is a woman who, when she was younger, like in the 1960s and 70s, movie star beautiful. And now she's elderly and frail and suffers from dementia. The years are just fucking unforgiving, man. They're just unforgiving.
The years are brutal, and so is kind of societal life now, because I often think about that for the old folks' home. It's very sad if you don't have anyone. If either you just don't have a good relationship with your family, with your kids, or you don't have any, you're alone, and you're just stuck. It's kind of like you're in a high school for shitty kids, and they won't let you out.
Yeah.
And you must get, like, I take my walks around the neighborhoods here in the summer, and there's an old folks home that there's one old man that it was kind of like timed. Like every time I'm taking my walk, he's out, he's in a wheelchair smoking, just sitting there. He doesn't seem too old though. Just sitting, smoking, and looking at stuff on his phone. And he just his excuses, like he says he's going to go for the cigarette, obviously, but you could see that he's saving it. He's just staying to look at stuff. He just wants to be outside.
Right.
He just wants to feel like I'm part of something.
Yeah.
Because then once you go inside, it's done. You're in there. It's like a classroom. It's just you're forgotten. Like you live your whole life, and then if you don't have people around you to take care of you, they just put you somewhere and like, oh, you're on the shelf now.
Yeah, well, I think you got to pay it forward, and you got to nurture your relationships. Like I try to have a good relationship with all my kids because they're the ones who are going to be stuck with me, right, when the time comes. I call my mom. My mom lives in New Brunswick, and she's 90 years old, and I call her every week and speak to her, and she really appreciates it because I don't think my brother and sister. My sister lives right next door to her. Same house, like the house we grew up in, and my mom built what's called a granny suite, an addition, so that she could live there, and my sister and her husband bought the house from her. But she says she never sees my sister. Like they live in the same house, and she hardly ever sees her. So I think of that as kind of paying it forward, because I know when I call her, she always thanks me for calling her, and I can tell from her voice that she really appreciates that I made the effort, because otherwise she's sitting in that place by herself. So, to me, that's paying it forward.
Yes, we want, me and the wife, if the market stabilizes, to get a house that's big enough to have that little, like ensuite. So she has like a mini apartment, bring my mom along as well, just so that she's close.
Yeah, I'm hoping Sam's going to be fabulously successful as a creator, and he's going to build a house big enough for all of us.
Let's see what happens with that Bill C-11. You know JJ McCullough?
Yes,
I like JJ.
I do too.
Good kid. And he spoke again in front of that committee, the CRTC committee, yesterday, I believe. Yesterday, because they pushed C-11. It's passed, and now they're just looking at how they're going to implement it. And I could tell that the women he was speaking with, the women on that board, don't know what they're talking about, and it hurt my feelings because I was looking at it. I go, this is why they're pushing this. They don't even know what they're doing. They're just
Tell me
talking
what C-11
nonsense.
is exactly.
So C-11 was the bill that Trudeau was trying to push. Essentially, it's to censor us and to throttle us.
It's an internet bill.
Yeah, for it's basically the federal government to take control of internet media and creators, social media, just the way they do with the other broadcasters, CBC Radio, all that. So we
it's
all
kind of
follow
an
them on.
internet version of the CRTC.
Yeah, the CRTC would actually take it over.
Okay.
And we know how much good work the CRTC does. Everything goes to shit. And in the hearing, this was crazy. They were telling him, they were admitting that they're useless, because at one point they even tell him, well, look, traditional media, because of you guys, as if it's online creators that ruined radio and regular TV. It's not. The CRTC ruined it with all their garbage. It's suffering because of you guys. So what would you suggest that they do so that they stay relevant in this? They're asking a kid who's making videos online, what can we do to run the CBC better? It's disgusting to watch. The reason why it's not working is because of you people, you out of touch gatekeepers.
Yeah.
And they were saying, what if we're not around and the CRTC not around, then Canadian artists won't get pushed. But it's the opposite, because they, as far as I've seen, unless you fit a certain mold at the time, or right now I don't look like that mold, they'll gatekeep you. So they're not helping artists. They're helping push agendas. And that's why it's not working. That's why they're losing money. That's why the CBC is losing money. The radio stuff, the Radio-Canada, it's all garbage. That's why people don't go to it. And now they're trying to attack online creators. They want to throttle if you're not Canadian enough, if your content is deemed un-Canadian or not Canadian enough, so they can get YouTube to like throttle you so you don't get pushed out to other Canadians. It's crazy. It's 100% censorship.
It is, and it's bullshit. And, if legacy media wants to do better, then up your game. You want to do better, be better.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that it's just no good can come of censorship. I think that, I think the market censors itself.
100%.
If what you're doing is shit or it's in poor taste, then it's not going to fly. It's going to wither on the vine. So let the market take care of itself.
But they don't like it because the market took care of them. So it makes them upset because they don't understand. They're like, why can't we get people to like us? We have every grown man that identifies as a penguin on the radio. Why don't people like us? It's like, people don't like that shit. It's insane. People don't like that shit. And the majority of people at least don't like that shit. So they don't understand that they're out of touch and they're just pushing shit down people's throat that people don't like. And that's why no one's watching and no one's listening. But they can't get through their head. It's as if they think if I block you from being a good athlete, I'm going to be number one.
No. That's
I can't be a better athlete. It's just if I tell LeBron James to stop playing basketball, it's not going to make me a better basketball player.
No, don't work like that. JJ McCullough, there's a name I haven't heard in a while. I used to see him a lot on Twitter, and I haven't lately. I hadn't even thought of that name lately. What's he doing now?
He's still on Twitter, but he's making those YouTube videos.
Okay.
He talks about Canada. I discovered him because he made a video about the history of flags. I said flags, by the way.
Yeah.
And either one I would have watched.
Hey.
And I was so fascinated because I love that. I like history and he was talking about different provinces and all these videos about, he was really deep diving into Canada. Mm-hmm. And the way he talks, at first I thought it was a fake accent because he goes, a boot. I was like, yeah, he has the real Canadian, full-on Canadian.
Yeah, was it Ottawa Valley boy or something?
I think he's from BC.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere. And growing up here being Greek and being Americanized, I don't have the Canadian accent.
Right.
So whenever I would hear it, I thought it was fake.
Yeah.
I thought it doesn't really exist. It's like a stereotype. And then I would hear people like him who speak like that about Canadian.
Yeah, I don't hear it a lot, though. I don't hear a boot or hoos.
It's rare.
I don't hear it a lot.
You have to find people like him, real Canadians.
Yeah.
So I loved it. I was like, fuck, I like his accent. Even though I thought it was fake, I enjoyed it. I love his content. And then I started to follow the guy. I really liked him. And I saw that when the Bill C-11 stuff came, he was one of the first people to be like, I'll go in front of Parliament, I'll defend this, and I'll talk against, I'll speak about alternative media and why you need to get your hands off us. And I liked his balls. I love that. I love that he had the guts to be like, I'll jeopardize. I don't care. I'm going to stand up for what's right.
Yeah.
And he's well spoken, and he just seems like a really nice kid. He's like just a nice dude.
I think he used to write for the Sun Media.
He wrote for a lot.
Chain, if I'm not mistaken.
He contributes to a lot. I think he even contributes to Huffington Post, maybe New York Times
Is that
also.
right?
Yeah, Washington. Yeah, he's very smart. Very smart.
I've seen his byline in American papers, in the Washington Post, I believe. Now that you mention it, But like I say, I haven't seen him pop up on my Twitter feed or X feed, if you will, in quite some time. So I wonder if he's getting throttled.
He might actually. He might be. I saw his video last night, and I was watching because he taped everything. He went in Gatineau to that hearing, and he's very good that he taped himself speaking after. He got the videos that they shared online, so you could see the conversation between him and the people on the committee. He's very good at creating content, and he's very honest too. He was talking about how I'm nervous right now. I'm hoping that they don't try to like bombard me and make me look stupid or anything. Like I don't know what they're planning. And then it's funny when you hear him talk, you realize that the old women he was speaking to were the out of touch idiots.
Yeah.
And he was the only one that knew what he was talking about. And he doesn't say it in the video. He said, I hope that they don't make me look stupid. He never says, oh fuck, at the end of the day, I was the only one that knew what I was talking. He doesn't say it, but just by seeing what's going on, you're like,
right.
Oh, he's a little too nice. He was very nice to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what were they again? Were they a government committee?
I think it was the CRTC people.
Okay.
Yeah, which is government.
Yeah.
But it's a part of the government that you saw that. I think you put on X or Twitter last week as well. The reporter on the CBC who called out her own boss.
Yes, yeah, that was
amazing.
Adrian Arsenault. Yeah, that was really something when they announced that, what it was, 600 job cuts, something like that.
Yeah.
And she said to the head of the CBC, a CBC anchor says to the head of the CBC on national television. So does this mean there aren't going to be any bonuses? Presumably, if you're cutting 600 jobs, there will be no bonuses this year?
Because we uncovered
rather
through Discovery that last year you guys gave millions in bonuses.
Yeah.
And you didn't announce it to anyone. And they had cuts last year too, I think. And they still gave bonuses. And then, she didn't want to answer because obviously they're planning on giving bonuses.
Yeah. Well, you could tell from her response. She was like the, what's the expression? The kid with her hand in the cookie jar. It was bad. It was really bad. I have a friend and a former colleague named Trish Wood, who has a podcast called Trish Wood is Critical. She used to work on the Fifth Estate. She worked on As It Happens at CBC. She was a big deal investigative journalist back in the 80s and 90s.
I remember the Fifth Estate.
Yeah. Yeah, she worked on the Fifth Estate. She was one of the reporters, and I think she co-hosted for a while. And I listen to her podcast all the time. It's really good. I liken it to being at a party and eavesdropping on the smartest people in the room.
I'm going to listen to it because I used to. That to me, when I was young, that was journalism.
Well, you would like Trish. And Trish, a lot of what I say about journalism and about how it used to be, they used to be the watchdogs, and now they're just the gatekeepers for the elite. A lot of that, I'm parroting what she says and what a lot of her guests say.
What's the podcast called?
It's called Trish Wood is Critical.
Trish Wood is Critical.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's very, very bright. She is a huge COVID skeptic. She thinks COVID and Fauci was just a complete fucking shambles.
Well, we know now that that's the truth, but you couldn't say that 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, she was saying it 2 years ago. She wasn't shy about it at all.
Neither were we, and it fucked up my YouTube channel.
But she has complained multiple times on her podcast about being throttled on Twitter. And she even says, Elon, please, if you're listening, do something. Her tweets don't get and I've noticed that because I follow her on Twitter and I don't see her as much anymore. Her tweets don't get amplified the way that they used to, and she seems to feel that it's because of her where she stands ideologically that she's being suppressed.
It's crazy, huh?
Yeah.
It's crazy that when you were younger and you were experiencing radio for the first years and you start to connect to government, like, because when you go into radio, that's when I'm guessing you start the first time that you start to speak to, let's say, bigger names or government officials and you start to know these people.
Yeah.
What was your perception then of everything? Did you feel like, all right, there's something nefarious here, or did you feel like it was all kind of a sham? They were all just people.
I was very naive, and I just took everybody at their word.
Yeah, I was
and
young.
that's why I didn't make a very good reporter. I was not a great news reporter because I didn't have that bulldog in me, and I didn't have that, the nose for bullshit. I would just, I'd interview someone and they'd give me their answer and I go, oh, okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
The guy's full of blood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, did you murder her? He's like, nah.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, checks out.
Yeah,
Checks
so
out.
I was lucky. I moved into sports, and then from sports, I moved in onto the sort of the hosting aspect of hosting my own radio show, or co-hosting with Terry, which is where I'm a much better fit. I was a shit journalist.
Yeah, I'd rather hear you actually shoot the shit
Yeah.
than investigate.
No. I don't. I just don't have that. That takes a special talent, and I don't have it. But Trish does. Yeah, you'd like her podcast a lot. She's really good. She's really, really smart. Really smart.
I'm gonna check her out after this. I'm very interested. I like that kind of stuff. And the fact that she's not getting amplified sucks. But I see it with everyone. It happens to me too. I ruined my I ruined all my social media and my YouTube because during COVID we wouldn't shut up. So we got.
I'm shadow banned on Instagram. I used to get like somewhere like 2,000 to 3,000 views of my stories. Now I'm lucky if I get 150.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I used to get 2,000 to 3,000 people viewing my stories on a daily basis.
Danny Polchuk got his Instagram, I think 3 times in a row in the last 2 months, suspended and then permanently deleted. And
Why?
Yeah, 'cause
He's fucking hilarious.
he's hilarious, but they will take his jokes and they go, "This is hate speech." This is.
Fuck off.
I'm telling you, it's real. Just like me with TikTok now that they suppressed my video. They said that the Alex Jones video game, I posted a reaction to the trailer, that they said that's hate speech. And I asked him to verify if someone manually looked and said, "Yep, this is hate speech." You have a strike, a guideline strike. It's lunacy. It's lunacy.
He's hilarious and smart funny. You know what?
You're talking about Danny Polchuk or Alex Jones?
Danny Polchuk.
Okay. They're both hilarious, though.
Yeah, in their own way, yeah. But they would consider the overseers, the watchdogs, they would consider him dangerous because he's funny and smart, and he calls them out on their shit and does it in a funny, smart way, and that's why anybody would like him. That's a shame. That's a goddamn shame. We got to start electing people who think the way that we think. Either that, or there needs to be some kind. We got to have a takeover.
No, it's not even the election anymore because we don't know who's. So let's say Instagram has like 1,000 employees.
Yeah,
we don't know who's there at that one moment that gets the report from the algorithm that says this is hate speech. They look at it and they're like, I don't agree with this guy.
But what I'm saying is, you have to elect people who are going to legislate.
Yeah.
Legislate away from hate speech, away from the ability to just arbitrarily declare anything hate speech. That's horse shit.
It's insane. And people don't see the dark side of how, like, this is bad. I know some people agree with it. They're like, no, we should, but I think it's because you're not looking far enough ahead to see that this is a terrible road to go down.
I think the majority of people disagree with it and think the way that we think, but they're just, it's the censors or the censorship-minded ones who are more activist and proactive, while the rest of us just go, oh, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I'm going to try to live my life.
Yeah, we let it happen, But I think the majority of people feel the way that we feel about it. I really do. I can't believe that Instagram banned, what's his last name again?
Polchuk. Danny Polchuk.
Yeah. He's the guy who works with Ryan
Long.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Those guys are a fucking scream.
They're hilarious, and they're Canadian boys. They're from Toronto.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. They're brilliant.
They're good.
Brilliantly
They're good dudes,
funny. Yeah. If we're suppressing people like that, we're headed down the wrong road.
I'm trying to find an excuse, actually, to bring Danny up here to do a show.
Yeah. Do you know him?
Yeah. He's been on the Pantelis podcast.
Nice.
He's I liked him from when I started seeing the videos, and then I forgot who I was speaking to. I was speaking to a comedian from Toronto who's like, yeah, dude, they're both Canadian, and you'd, like, if you were together with them, you'd fucking love them. They're crazy. They're like you. So then I was watching their content, and I was like, oh, yeah, these are our guys. I'm so happy they moved to New York, just so that they can get their comedy out. They're not going to get censored every 2 seconds. They're not gonna get, so I really, really like him. I'm trying to bring him to Montreal to do shows. It's just hard to find a place on the weekend here because, like, let's say the Bordel, we have English shows, but on Tuesdays. Yeah. So, and there's no other club big, because I want to bring him to a big club. He deserves like a good venue. But I'm going to figure something out.
Joey's show at the Bordel. Joey did an hour, right?
Joey did an hour. He had a lot of fun.
Did he do it already?
He did it already.
Was that a Tuesday night?
It was Tuesday night. Yeah, right before the regular show. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And how did it go?
He had a great time.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of mix up because of the article that was written with the tickets. So people bought because the article Brownstein didn't want to. I told him to put the times, but he didn't want to put the times. He just put 7, I think, for everything, or 9 for everything.
Yeah.
But Joey's was at 7. So a lot of people bought. Like we had a lot more people than usual at the 9:15 show because they got mixed up. Some people thought.
Oh, and they thought Joey was going to be then. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, but I knew it happened. I knew it was going to happen. Bill didn't. He was like, no, they'll figure it out. But I was like, I don't think people will figure it out.
Did Mike do a set that night?
Yeah, on my show he did.
Okay, well that's good. That would make up a little bit for missing Joey to have Mike Ward come out for sure. Yeah.
No, they had a great time.
Yeah.
It was a good show.
Yeah,
they were both good shows.
Yeah, the couple of times that you've had me down there, I've really enjoyed that. That's really.
It's a great room.
Yeah, and it's really cool for an older English guy like me to get up there and to be able to connect with a young Francophone audience and have them laugh at my shit. It's a good feeling. The
problem is the older Anglos, even the younger Anglos, don't come.
They're still not coming.
They don't support. They don't support. And there's a little clip I posted of Josh Shapiro talking about that, and he admits it. He goes, Montreal has that hater mentality. They will not support artists for some fucking reason here in English, unless they blow up somewhere else first. They will not support them. They don't take them serious. They will not support them. And if they blow up somewhere else, they'll they go to the States, they blow up, they'll be like, that's our guy. He's from my neighborhood. But now if they're here and they're just as good, they're going to be like, what do I care about that guy? He's from my neighborhood. I don't know why we're like this in this fucking city.
That is so disappointing.
Yeah.
That's so disappointing. I was going to ask you if it's maybe just people just don't know yet.
No, a lot of people know, but
people know that there's English comedy at the Bordeaux Tuesday night.
Not everyone in the city is going to know, but I've run ads. We've been in the Gazette. I did that article 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And I've known for years, though, every artist I speak to, whether they're musicians, comedians, they all say the same thing, that they don't get. It's very hard to get support here in Montreal, and they see it when they go to other cities. The difference, like look at Motley Crue, for example.
Mm-hmm.
When they were in LA, when they were starting out, they were an important part of that music scene. This is just an example throwing out there. They weren't like, fuck, they're locals. It was the opposite. Same thing with Metallica at the Bay Area. Like, people loved it because it was from there.
They were
supporting
embraced by their own community.
Yeah. Not English Montrealers don't have that. The majority of them, no one takes them serious.
Wow.
And then if they blow up somewhere else, then right away they get the messages. I remember you.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
There must be a dime store psychology explanation for that. I don't know what it would be, but there's got to be something. I mean, English Montreal is a very unique community that lives in a very unique circumstance, and the answer is probably in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, that's unfortunate. That's that to me, that's such a great. I mean, not only like going on stage at the Bordel is such a privilege, but just being in the milieu, just being in the room, it's such a unique Montreal experience. Like, you don't get that anywhere else. I feel like, it's like being in a movie or something.
It's a great place.
Yeah, it's just such a great vibe. It's such a great, unique vibe, and it's disappointing. Sometimes we don't know how good we've got it, And that might be part of it. And there's so many good young comics here.
There's so many that deserve. Harrison's amazing.
Who's the guy? Lag.
Oh, Quinn Legoo.
Quinn
Legoo's amazing. I bring him.
He fucking killed me that night. He was fantastic. And what a set of pipes. That guy should be reading commercials on the radio.
I told him, he has a great voice.
Holy fuck, he's got a voice.
But these guys, I'm not putting them up for nothing. They're all, and the women they're all funny comics that don't have it. They don't get any exposure. In another city, if they were as talented and they were part of the milieu, let's say, they'd get attention because there'd be other outlets. Let's say you're in New York.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying you should go to late night because it sucks, but you would have an opportunity, being that funny, to write for late night, to perform, or there'd be another way out. Here, there aren't any. And especially when the locals don't give a fuck about you, it's very rare unless you're a comedy nerd. It makes it super hard and disheartening. Because guys like Harrison, I don't want Harrison to stop. Harrison's brilliant. Harrison's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So I try my best to bring him to as many shows as I can, motivate him, keep his head up. But I know that it's insane, this city. I know that if I hadn't teamed up with Mike, if I hadn't gone on Rogan, I know that it would have been a million times harder for me too. I know that. I'm very
That's
self-aware.
True. You've been able to break through to the next level. Does Harrison make a living doing comedy? Do you know? Does he do other stuff outside of comedy, or do you know?
It's everyone, like he does, I guess, but it must be tight.
Yeah.
You know, you'll have to do some extra stuff.
Does he work other markets? Does he go to Ottawa? Does he go to Toronto?
Yeah, they go from time to time.
Yeah.
But it's not. I'm trying actually right now to build a circuit to get them all around.
Okay.
I'm trying to like pave the way and be like, okay, I went here. You could trust me. I'll bring this guy. But even that's difficult too.
How's Toronto as a market to start out as a comedian?
Toronto's expensive, but they have a good comedy scene. They have good comedy clubs
And good support?
From what I hear, like the best person to speak to right now would be Michelle, because she's down there. She lives half the time there and half the time here.
Who's that, Michelle?
Michelle Forrester. She's
Okay.
she's a comic. She has a show on the Pantelis Comedy Network
okay.
too. She did Young Guns. What is it? What's the Young Gun at the Just for Laughs? What's it called?
New Faces?
So the New Faces this year, very funny. She talks about it. I mean, it's like every other scene is clicky, so you have to get in at some point. If
Yeah.
they don't know you, it's gonna be difficult.
Right.
But at least there's a market, so you'll have. They're not really big on podcasts, which if they would get started on podcasts, it would be better for them too. But let's say you're in Toronto, you have a lot of different places to play. You have a lot more people. You also have TV that's being filmed there. You could do commercials. Whereas
Right.
here we don't have that anymore
Yeah.
in English.
Yeah, it's true, eh?
So it's not like you could write on a TV show if you're here in English. So they have more outlets there. So comedy, like you see, look at Ryan Long, Danny, but like you can build something there, get good, and then leave, go to a bigger city if you want. But you could get something out of it there. Whereas here, it's very, very difficult.
What a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Maybe something will switch in the next couple of years, the
and
next
yet,
generation will
here
support.
we are, home of the biggest comedy festival in the world.
Yeah, but we don't get, like the festival itself doesn't really do anything for Montreal,
Yeah.
for the Montreal comics.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
It's just I'm just
It would be good if they did.
the irony of it, you know.
But the question is, I've asked Bruce too, and he says something smart. He goes, "Tell me, what could the festival do?
Yeah.
You know, and apart from putting them up on shows, maybe getting Montreal comics some exposure on something international. What else could they do, really? You know, you can't force people to go out.
No.
So it's a tricky thing, but it's a very unique city in the sense that it doesn't give a fuck about its own."
Yeah, that's a shame. That's really a shame. Are we like that in the other arts? Are we like that in music?
From the English musicians I speak to, that's what they tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've spoken to a couple of artists about it, and even Justin from ORCHAD, who does the intro for this, he says the same thing.
Yeah.
He goes, "Dude, I've always had when we were on tour, they were opening for another, like a big band. People were so much friendlier and nicer, buying their merch, want to check them out, love what they were doing." He goes, "In the second the tour would come to Montreal and we'd perform here, the second they'd find out we're from Montreal, people didn't give a fuck." He goes, "It's crazy. It has nothing to do with your talent. It has nothing to do with your shit. It's just the fact that you're from here, people dismiss you," which is a weird self-sabotage mentality that
It
we have
really
here.
is. Yeah.
It's like we're a big city, but like with a
Small town mentality.
Yeah.
small
No
village
shit,
men-
eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I have the feeling of if I find out somebody like next to me is doing something, I'd be like, "Oh shit, this is amazing. He's from here."
Yeah.
Yeah, but apparently the what's happening is more like, "Hey, I'm from here too. It's a big deal."
And has it been like that for as long as you can remember?
As long as I can remember, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, it's always been like that in my time. I thought it was just for comedy initially. I thought it was just English comedy doesn't work here. And then when I was speaking to musicians, it was the same. I know a lot of musicians. Same for them.
It must have something to do. Here's my dime store psychology take on it. It's got something to do with English Montreal's inferiority complex.
It has that, right?
Yeah, that's what it smacks of. You know, if you're from here, then you can't be any good if you're from here.
Has it always been like that?
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to think. You know, I didn't really know much about the comedy scene up until the last number of years, and I'm not immersed enough in the comedy scene that have become aware of what you've just explained to me. So, but yeah, probably, I guess, yeah, maybe there always I think there's always been for as long as I can remember, and I've lived here for about 35 years now, closer to 40 actually. There's been an inferiority complex vis-a-vis Toronto, because Toronto has really taken off and become a world-class city. And, 30 years ago...
Massive.
30 years ago, people would say, "Oh, fucking Toronto, they roll up the sidewalks at, 9 o'clock at night and nobody does anything and it's really boring." No, it's not.
Not anymore.
No, it's not. No, my son Sam is there and he's never coming back. He's never coming back.
Did shows in the summer with Mike, and him too. He hadn't been there in years. Same for me. And the last time I went was 2017, I believe, and it was winter. I didn't get to do a lot. I went there for just to like support one of my buddies at a movie premiere. In the summer, we both looked at each other, and Mike's like, "Fuck, this is a real city."
Yeah, fucking right.
Like this
man.
is a real city.
Yeah, it's got a New York vibe.
Yeah.
It really does. Tell me this. Why is Mike not as big across the country as he is in Quebec? Is that by choice because he chooses to focus his career on Quebec? Because he could be. He's just as funny in English as he is in French, no?
Yeah. Well, I remember speaking to him a while back about that. It's, he built everything here. He has the biggest show.
Yeah.
And then with 2 Drink Minimum, it was kind of an English outlet, but we started off on Compound. So it was, instead of us focusing on Canada, we focused on the U.S., which is good because I got a lot of like fans from Texas, New York, Philly, which to me was amazing for him too. And now we've been talking about this for a while of maybe doing a Canadian tour because Chris Ramsey is part of 2 Drink Minimum now as well. So we're thinking
a regular part.
Yeah, he's
cool.
He's a host. It's me, Mike, Chris Ramsey, and
that guy over there.
That guy over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
fantastic.
It's a lunatic.
It's a Canadian supergroup.
Yeah, excellent.
So we're thinking of maybe doing a tour of Comedy Magic, 2 Drink Minimum, like all together at in Canada, just to see fans because I know we have fans all over Canada, but we never go.
Yeah,
even in Toronto when Mike went in the summer, it was like fuck. It's weird. He has so many fans of his own French podcast that live in Toronto, but then there was also 2 Drink Minimum fans that are Anglos that just love him in English.
Right.
And I guess even for him, it must have been cool to see.
So a lot of Francophone ex-Quebecers who live in Toronto?
Oh, yeah.
Really, eh? Yeah?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And they consume both cultures.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike's huge.
Yeah, I know he is. Yeah. And the nicest guy, too. That's what I love about Mike.
The best guy in showbiz.
Yeah. Guys like that who have this enormous success and they're just so grounded and nice, that's so gratifying. When you meet guys like that and get to know them, it's just I love that.
If we had 5 more of him and we could put them in different like political positions, we'd be fine. We'd be great.
That's what we'll do. We'll clone Mike.
Yeah, if we had 5 mics, but they're all in different. One is in the arts, the other one, look, you got to take care of healthcare. We'd be fine. We'd be fine. The country would work.
The funniest healthcare system. Yeah. Let me tell you my healthcare system story. I woke up the other night. Wednesday night, I went to bed, felt like $1 million. I worked out, I felt great. Thursday morning, the alarm goes off at 3:30 for me to get up and go to the radio show, and I wake up and I go, holy fuck, bit my tongue in my sleep. I go into the bathroom, my cheek is all purple, and I'm brushing my teeth and I'm spitting out blood. And I'm like, holy fuck, what the fuck happened? So I talk like this. I couldn't talk.
So you bit your tongue and your cheek.
I bit my tongue and my cheek, and so I call in sick to work to say, listen, I can't come in today because I can't talk, and I'm bleeding from my mouth, so I think maybe I should go to emergency and get them to have a look at it. So I get to emergency at Lakeshore at 4:30 in the morning, and I think to myself, it's pretty much the middle of the night. I shouldn't have to wait too long to see a doctor.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Welcome to Canada.
Yeah, I sit there for 3 hours or 2.5 hours, and at 7 o'clock I think, oh fuck, man, this is taking a long time. Maybe there's something. If only there was some sort of an electronic information portal that I could consult to see what the waiting time is. So I go online, and they've got all the waiting times.
Nice.
Estimated waiting times for hospitals. Lakeshore is at 150% capacity, the emergency, and the average wait time is 7.5 hours.
And by the way, 150% capacity, that means that you were 9 people.
Something like, well, there weren't that many sitting in the waiting area.
That's the one thing that people never discuss that I wish we talked about more. They always talk about how we're over capacity. The problem is also the fact that our capacity is so low.
Fuck all.
It's insane.
Well, because everyone's fucking off to Ontario.
Yeah. I don't blame the doctors and the nurses. We treat them like shit.
I had people tell me, more than one person say to me, you should have gotten your car and drove to Hawkesbury. Seriously. I hear that all the time. Go to the hospital in Hawkesbury and they'll take care of you pretty much right away. And after I read this 7.5 hour thing, I went over to the nursing station and I said to the guy, it says here 7.5 hours. And he goes, yeah, more or less. And I thought, well, you know what? I've had a good run.
I don't know what ate me, but I'm dying.
Yeah. No, I went home and I I don't know if someone suggested that I go get a blood test, but I went to a private clinic to see if I could get a blood test, but I needed a requisition form.
I hate those things.
From a doctor. So I saw my doctor yesterday, and he said, you bit your tongue, you bit your cheek, you're going to be okay, but let's do some blood work just to make sure that everything's as it should be. So I went on Click Santé today to make an appointment for a blood test.
This century?
Yeah. Barely.
You're optimistic.
Yeah. Okay. Today's the, I don't know what day this is going to.
Today is, I think, the 11th.
It's the 12th.
It's the 12th.
Yeah. Of December.
Yeah.
I can get into Lakeshore to get a blood test January 31st.
Oh, okay. Good. Like an aristocrat. I like that. Right. Front of the line.
Yeah. So I'm going to go to a private clinic and get it done. And then maybe my work insurance will cover it, but holy fuck, I don't remember this from before. Is this new?
This
is the healthcare system's a disaster.
All of our systems are a disaster. This is socialism. That's what it is.
Yeah,
it's good on paper. It's good in the beginning, and then the wheels come off. Nobody wants to work. We don't put money into the right places. Our money should be going in a society with the amount of taxes we pay. The first people that should be getting paid right now are teachers, doctors, nurses.
And they're the ones on strike.
They're the ones that we're not taking care of.
Yeah.
Infrastructure first should go again. Hospitals and schools. That's the first infrastructure you should take care of. They're the last that we take care of.
Who's getting all the money? Somebody's getting it.
Well, we have more elected officials than we know what to do with.
That's true too.
So everyone needs to get paid.
And didn't they give themselves? Didn't they
bonuses and the raises?
Quebec members of the legislature, I think, recently gave themselves a 30% raise.
Yeah.
Come on. Fuck.
But if you say this to the normies, they disagree. They say, no, it's perfectly fine. Best healthcare system on the planet.
Horse shit. I will say this, though. I was diagnosed with rectal cancer in 2015. And I underwent radiation therapy. And they took really good care of me. And I was within a year and a bit, I was in remission.
Nice.
And everybody on the front lines, like the bureaucracy is a nightmare, right?
Nightmare.
But everybody on the front lines was really good and took really good care of me. And they continue to follow up with me. Like I still hear from them, every once in a while I'll get a call, Mr. Bird, it's time for Dr. Lieberman to stick a camera up your arsehole again and boldly go where no man has gone before.
Now imagine these guys with additional support monetarily, people, how much better it would be.
Yeah.
Imagine if they had the support that they deserve. Yeah, we don't take care of the people we should be taking care of. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm glad that I'm closer to the end than I am to the beginning, and I feel bad for younger folks who as they get older are going to face health challenges that are going to require health care, and it's not going to be available to them in a timely fashion unless they go private. And I think increasingly you're going to see people who can afford to go down that road. I
mean, on the bright side, they will have that beautiful giant ring downtown that they could look at. That costs a couple $1 million.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they can look through it at what the future could have been.
That's what your asshole's going to look like.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's so insane. Like a lot of the stuff I think is going to be viewed in history books if we survive in a couple 100 years, and then be like, what a dumb generation.
Yeah.
They had it all, and they let it slip through their fingers.
Yeah, probably.
It took a drama teacher to come destroy a country.
Jesus, Murphy. I feel bad because he's Terry's friend, and Terry's my friend, you know? It's hard to have that. We don't have that conversation.
No, you do better than I do. Yeah. I get mad. I go, Terry, call your fucking friend. Tell Justin.
Yeah, although, Terry, to his credit, Terry, he just, Terry being Terry DeMonte, my longtime radio partner, who's been a friend of Justin Trudeau's for 30 plus years. Terry will call him out on his bullshit. Terry says he doesn't agree with a lot of Justin's politics and ideology. And I've met the guy before. Nice enough guy.
I met him when I was younger.
Yeah.
He did, I don't know if he did this on purpose, but I'll give him credit for one badass move he did towards me. He's aware. He knows I don't like him. But one time when I was on Compound Media early on. I made fun of him. I destroyed him
Yeah.
on the Anthony Cumia show. I was in New York. I get home the next day. It was around my birthday. This is not even, I'm not exaggerating. The next day I get back home. I get a Christmas card signed by Trudeau. And I've never before or after ever gotten another card. I just got a happy birthday card then, right after I was destroying him. And I was like, is he this guy telling me like, shut the fuck up?
Yeah.
Like and I was like,
Well,
God
he's
damn,
just-
if this is on purpose, because it's either the biggest coincidence or the balls on, like I appreciated the gangsterism of that
Yeah,
move.
it sounds to me like he was saying, I heard you.
But it's such a solid move.
Was he prime minister at the time?
Yeah.
He was, eh? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember that. I
And
still
nothing since, eh?
nothing since, nothing before. It's not like I was on his mailing list for birthdays. It was
Right.
just that one time I talked
yeah.
shit about him. I get back from New York. I was like, happy birthday, buddy. Happy birthday. And I was like, oh, fuck, this guy's a gangster.
Yeah.
So that I appreciate. The rest, destroying the country, I don't like.
Yeah.
But I appreciated him just, like, it's a cool move.
Yeah.
The way I got to be honest.
Well,
I'm not gonna lie.
gangster's a perfect description.
That's a
for
good
it.
move.
Yeah.
Right? We could appreciate the gangster.
You're fucking right.
Yeah, so I like that move. But everything else he's done, hated it.
Yeah, me too. Not a big fan. He's his father's son, but he's also his mother's son in many ways as well. I don't think he has his father's intellect by any stretch of the imagination.
No. I don't have my mom's either. I wish I had my mom's intellect.
Yeah.
She's a smart one.
Is she? Yeah.
Very sharp.
Yeah.
A lit match.
Is that right?
Bam, yeah.
Yeah.
She's very, very quick.
Yeah. How old's your mom?
Now my mom is 70. She's going to be 74
Okay.
in March.
Yeah. Your dad's still alive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in Greece, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's in Greece.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Where is he?
In Crete.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What are you doing here? Why aren't you over there?
Well, I like to work.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
There's not, I mean, if I go to, I would have to live a completely different lifestyle.
Oh, I'm sure.
Unless I go to Athens, I try to become a podcaster there, a comedian. But I the idea of starting over scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And on the islands, it's a very different lifestyle than it is in Athens.
Yeah, in the islands, you could have a good life if you like. It's calm, tranquil. I could do like something in tourism or
Right.
restaurants, but I worked so hard to build all this.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Well,
go back to
Of
restaurants.
course not. Yeah. But do you ever go over and see your dad?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I've been. Yeah, 2017 was the last time that I hung out with him when I was there. 2017. I went back last year, but I didn't go to Crete.
Okay.
I just went for 2 weeks. I just stayed in Athens, which
Yeah.
was fun. It was real. I could just hung out.
Can you do any war tourism in Crete, World War II? Because there's a big battle in Crete in World
Yeah,
War II. The fucking Germans parachuted in there, and there was a hell of a battle.
Yeah, they
They
killed
must have
them.
a museum, do they?
Operation Mercury. Yeah, they have a few of them. It was Operation Mercury. It was because of that the Nazis stopped using paratroopers because the Cretan ladies and men slaughtered them.
Really?
Yeah, what happened was he liked using paratroopers. And I don't know what the hell happened in the rest of Europe, how people were this stupid. But they knew that the Cretans weren't really equipped. They didn't have weapons. But they were the Cretans are savages. They're the Texans of Greece.
Is that right?
So they saw them falling, and they're looking at these people parachuting, these Nazis. Like, fuck these douchebags. So what they're doing is they were taking whatever weapons they had, even the old ladies, even pitchforks. And as they're landing, they would just kill them, steal their guns, and then shoot the other ones coming down. They were floating ducks. So they slaughtered them, and then they're like, okay, we're going to stop using paratroopers because these goddamn Greeks. And then it was guerrilla warfare.
Yeah.
They were in the mountains hiding, waiting at night, going. They kidnapped the German officials. The Cretans
there
were
were
not to be
some-
fucked with. And
There were some pretty serious reprisals, too.
Oh yeah, they slaughtered villages. They burned
Yeah.
villages down. And the reason why they hated them too was because they could normally anywhere else in Greece you knew kind of okay the children, the old ladies like they don't pose a threat. And in Crete it was the opposite. Old ladies, you see them walking like this, and then the second they got the chance, they'd pull out a fucking gun. They would stab them. So they didn't know what to do. They're like, "Fuck these people," and
And so is
warrior culture.
Crete a German tourist destination post-war?
A lot of
or-
Germans go there, and a lot of
Yeah.
Russians. A lot of Russians too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of Russians go to Crete.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So the Cretians have let bygones be bygones?
yeah, they don't give a shit. They'll
Yeah.
bang 'em.
Well, it's 80 years ago, so most of the people who were alive then are gone now.
Yeah, I like that because that's how I am as well. I don't believe in blaming the kid for the sins of the father.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people do that now. That's part of what's happening now with the protests with Israel Palestine.
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
You know. So I do not like I can't. If you do something bad, I can't put on your son. That's
No.
crazy. Because if people did that to me, what if they did that to me?
Yeah.
My dad wasn't always good. He wasn't a saint. I don't want to pay for his shit. I made my own decisions. I'm going to pay for my shit. But Ted Ski, always fun having you around.
Well, thank you for having me.
If anybody doesn't know, Standing By is on this very network, so it's very easy to get it. Standing By, you and Terry. What a podcast. And I don't know if it was Phil. Someone told me something yesterday I wanted to bring up to you today, and I forgot who the fuck said something about you. Like, yeah, I've been listening to the morning show. Oh, Homer. Homer's like, I've been listening to the morning show. Fuck, man. Ted Burry's great. He's the funniest guy on there. Like, he's a great, and I was like, yeah, he's a professional. He's the only real broadcaster. Like, you're saying it like he just started, like you're practicing, like you just went to an open mic and he's like, this guy's funny.
Maybe I'm new to him.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So like, it's fucking amazing.
Oh,
So
cool.
Homer, yeah.
Yeah?
And he watches the morning. He checks everything out, but he watches the morning show live. So you could shout him out.
Oh, cool.
Watches all the shows.
All right, we'll do.
I talk about him on stage too. Homer, I got some good bits about him.
What a great name that is. That's very Greek, eh?
Very super Greek.
Doesn't get much more Greek than Homer.
No, it's Homer and Poseidon.
Yeah.
So you got Standing By. You're on Light. You have the morning show, which is great to have you live here.
I'm really enjoying that. That's a lot of fun to do that show with Poseidon and with George. We have, I think we laugh harder every week, don't we, Poseidon?
Yes.
Yeah, getting more comfortable.
Lots of belly laughs. I like it.
Yeah.
And you're active on X/Twitter.
I am.
The links are in the description. Hopefully, if people didn't know, now they do, and they can follow you.
God love you. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Ted.
We've built this prison cell 'cause we can't trust ourselves.